everyone, it's Margaret here with 60 and Me. Hope that you're doing great today, wherever you are. Thanks a lot for being here. I've got a topic today for a video that I hesitated to do it, to be honest, at the beginning, but then I thought, it's something that I think is of interest to some women, not everybody, but after a conversation yesterday with our Patreon supporters online, we do live shows every few days. It occurred to me that a lot of women are interested in this topic, and it's kind of fascinating, a little bit out there on the edges, but I think that it's worthy of a conversation. So it's the gist of the conversation is based on an article by Diane Corbett, one of our bloggers. Darlene, great blogger, really wonderful story because it's personal. It's her story, but so many things were raised in the story that caught people's imagination, and the comments that we got on the website were really, really interesting. But anyway, Darlene wrote this story about how we sometimes forget that the things that we can see in the world are not the only reality, that there's something often behind those scenes that inspires us and jolts us into a new state of reality, that we can see things differently if we look beyond the physical world. And whether or not those things that we experience are just coincidences, just going to happen whether we have any control over it or not, or something that has a little bit more organization behind it, that there's something happening that we're picking up on that's more than a coincidence. Now, in this video, I'm going to share some of my personal stories because I've had many, like probably many of you have, and I think that kind of reinforces the topic, but also just, gives you some food for thought. I'm not trying to change anyone's mind about anything and certainly not challenge any existing beliefs, but it's just curious, just very curious. So Darlene, first of all, starts off by telling a story about her dad. Very simple story. Her father died, and she was obviously trying to come to grips with that. She went to visit a medium and talked to that medium about her father. I think there was some unfinished business. She wanted to understand how he was doing, I guess, or just to validate how to deal with her feelings and his death. So she took to the medium, who said, "Oh, your dad is doing okay. He's actually with his little dog, Cupcake, his little white dog called Cupcake." And Darlene went to herself. She didn't say anything, but she went, "He doesn't have a white dog called Cupcake. He had a dog called Cupcake, but it was a black dog, a little black dog with a teeny bit of white on it." And so she was like, "That's interesting," but that was helpful to her. She went then to talk to her sister, and her sister said, and Darlene recounted the story with the medium, and her sister said, "Wow, that's interesting because we were with Dad when he died, and he said the last thing he said was, 'Oh my gosh, Cupcake, you're so beautiful. You've turned white.'" And so Darlene was like, goosebumps. Even right now, I've got goosebumps. But isn't that an interesting story? So, she just like started to think, well, maybe there's something. Maybe there's something beyond what I can see. Maybe my father is communicating to us, or maybe we're all just together. Now, my story, just a short one related to something similar to that, was when my mother died. When my mother died, my brothers had been both of my brothers were abroad. They were in the army. This is, a long time ago. And they came home for the funeral, and we all stayed in the house, a small house that I had lived in with her. And we all went to sleep, woke up in the morning, and started to, we were just sitting around the table having a coffee, and said, "That's really strange. Did you have a dream last night, anybody?" And we all shared our dream, and it was exactly the same dream. We all dreamt that I won't go into the detail, but anyway, we all had the same dream. And my brothers and I, well, we're all kind of, not skeptics, but we have, we are open-minded, but we have our boundaries around what's possible. But that was so interesting. And then another situation when my dad died. This is all around death because I think those are some of the moments that Darlene talks about where there's actually a sensitivity. But my dad had passed away, and we went to the funeral home to make arrangements. And as I was coming out, I was walking along the driveway out of the building, and all of a sudden I was surrounded by this scent. It was like flowers, and I was like, "Wow, what is that?" And it was like as if I was walking through like a florist shop. It was so intense. And I looked around, and it was like a gravel driveway. There was like nothing there. It was just no flowers, no trees, nothing. But it was like my dad. And I knew in some way I was either creating that to remind myself of him, or he was making a presence. So I'm sure Now, as I'm telling these stories, I'm thinking this is way too much information, but maybe you've got something that you've experienced in your life that was unusual, either around a bereavement or something else, just a situation in your life, a transition point, something that was heavy. So, coincidence? I don't know. I don't think so. And certainly, well, personally, I have my own thoughts about what it could have been. But anyway, what is the point of all this? Well, the point is that we actually experience our life on multiple levels. Darlene is suggesting that we actually remain open to new ideas all the time, new solutions, new insights, and use whatever meditation or techniques we can to actually get deeper in our understanding. Now, connections often will be completely unexplained, but when you get a little deeper into it and you look at what you were trying to, even in the explanation of how you explain the story, that is very, very powerful. I remember when I used to study years ago with Deepak Chopra, and I went on a retreat with him and a group to India. This is way back in the 90s. And I remember him saying to us that when something happens 3 times, that is when you know that there is what he called a karmic significance. There's some significance to that. It doesn't have to be like, you see the same person, but the same name. So maybe if you see something, Anne comes into your mind, and then you meet another Anne, and then you go to read an article and it's by someone called Anne. And he says there's a karmic significance to that. That's a kind of a very small, maybe silly example, but there's more to it than just knowing that when things happen more than once in a connected way, like you think of someone and then that person calls you and then something else happens that is related, there's a karmic significance. So pay attention to that. Go deeper and explore it and see whether there's anything there for you to learn. I think that's the important thing. I think from Darlene's perspective, and I totally understand and get this, is openness is the secret. Keeping your mind open to what could be the connection, what could be the coincidence. And even though it's perplexing, sometimes mysterious, and sometimes scary, then those are the times I think to even pay more attention. You've got your senses, you've got your physical senses, you've got your senses of sight and smell and all those. But then there's another sense. There's that inner rhythm, it's a sound almost. It's like it's a pulse. It's something in you that connects the dots, and you know that there's some importance to paying attention to that. One other example I will give is my 60andMe example. 60andMe was not something that I had planned. Like, it wasn't like I had a business plan for 60andMe from the beginning. It was just simply, almost one day I was walking down the street. Yes, there had been some situations in my life with a divorce and other things going on that made me more sensitized perhaps, but I just had this name came into my mind, 60andMe. And I was just getting over being 60. I think I was 64 at the time. And it was just, trying to merge into that reality, into that lifestyle. And it just came into my head. And I went back and then a few other things happened to connect the dots there. But then I thought, no, this is important. I need help myself. I need to have other women on this journey with me. So I reached out on Facebook and, put simply, is anybody else having a challenge getting into their 60s? And, I think I'm going to start this group 60andMe. And I was like inundated, thousands and thousands of women in a few days. And then I knew I had heard the message from somewhere. And then the rest, of course, is all kind of history for me personally and also for 60andMe. So you never know when an idea is going to reveal itself. I mean, and this has actually been proven. Some of the greatest inventions in the world, it's just technology inventions and science, biology, chemistry, happened when somebody was dreaming or just, suddenly getting on a bus and it came into their brain. It's just using all your senses to tune into your life and into what's powerful. So the reason that I actually started to do this little video and think about this topic was that when I mentioned it to the women in our 60andMe Patreon group, which is our supporters group, we have a smaller group, 800 women, and we meet on live shows and we do exclusive videos. And you can check it out on patreon.com. But anyway, we talked about this, and so many women said that they had visited a medium. And I never have, but I just thought it was so interesting that people saw some value in someone helping them to go a little bit beyond the boundaries of their, of their understanding and their insights. And I just wondered, I mean, how do you feel about this? I mean, what are your feelings? Do you feel that there are coincidences in life that are more than just coincidences, that there's something deeper? And I guess if you ever had the experience of going to a medium or looking for someone to guide you through an unexplained sensation that you couldn't quite understand, or maybe deal with a death, I mean, or a bereavement or a loss. It doesn't have to be a bereavement of a physical body, but there's lots of transitions that we sometimes need understanding and help with. Anyway, kind of an interesting video today, everybody. I hope that you found it useful. Please leave your comments below as to how you've experienced coincidence and mysterious connections in your life, and let's have a conversation. I look forward to joining in and checking in with you guys as you uncover your thoughts about this. And again, thank you so much for being here. Have a fabulous day, everybody, and we'll talk again really, really soon. Bye-bye for now.